apologize about the technical difficulties. Vehicle positioning. Vehicle positioning is where you want to position your vehicle in relation to the suspect's vehicle that you're pulling over. So how you want to park your vehicle. Ideally, we would want to park 2 car lengths behind that vehicle, 3 feet to the left of that vehicle, and have your wheels turned to the left. For a high-risk traffic stop, you're going to want to park 30 to 40 feet behind that vehicle. The reason for this, as I said about 800 times before already in this video, is safety. The number one thing as a patrolman is safety. 2 car lengths behind a suspect's vehicle is going to give you plenty of room to navigate and escape if you need to. There is a lot of room for you as an officer to basically walk around and feel out the person that you're pulling over. 3 feet to the left. The reason for this, you never want to be directly behind a vehicle unless you have no other option. As I said earlier, the fatal funnel. If you are in the fatal funnel, you are in a dangerous spot. They easily have a clear path to you. If this light up here is the vehicle and I'm parked directly behind this vehicle, I can't see into this person's vehicle. The only thing that I can see is their back window. I can't see them on the driver's side. I can't see them on the passenger side. If I am pulled over off to the side a little bit, I can see more at an angle to this person's vehicle. So I can see if they're being fishy inside. I can see if they're getting anything out that they're not supposed to be getting. Wheels turn to the left. It's just officer safety. If your vehicle ends up rolling, you do leave your keys in your vehicle with the ignition on when you conduct a traffic stop and leave your vehicle. If you have to put your vehicle in neutral for whatever reason, or if it accidentally goes in neutral, the wheels cocked to the left a little bit will help your vehicle to not go rolling everywhere. And 30 to 40 feet behind a suspect's vehicle is for a high-risk traffic stop, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Vehicle positioning for a routine traffic stop. There's 4 different ways that you can position your vehicle. The first one, sorry if this is kind of hard to see, is oblique. So you have your road, you have your violator that you're pulling over, your vehicle right here. You're 2 lengths behind that violator's car, and you're a couple or 3 feet over to the left with your wheels canted to the left. That's oblique. The second one, if you have to request a backup officer, you're parked directly in line with the violator, which is not ideal, but if you have no choice, but to be behind them. You'll have your other officer, your backup officer, come, and they'll park directly behind you. So you're in a single file line. The next one is a double abreast position. So your other patrolman that you call out that comes with you is going to park next to you. You both will be 2 car lengths behind the violator's vehicle, and you both will be 3 feet out to the left of the vehicle. So that if I am the violator's vehicle, both of the patrols will be about here, over to the sides of the vehicle. And the last one, I'm going to stand on this side, is offset. You pull directly in line with a vehicle, 2 car lengths behind them, and a backup officer comes and they offset you. They just go over to the side of you. So they go 3 feet to your left or your right, depending on which side you're on. Vehicle positioning for a high-risk traffic stop. High-risk traffic stops are a lot more dangerous than routine traffic stops. High-risk traffic stops have a ton more room for error. So with high-risk traffic stops, you're going to want to be 30 to 40 feet away from the vehicle. You're going to be challenging this person out of the vehicle, yelling at them, get out of your vehicle, get out of your vehicle, drop your keys, get on the ground, come back here so I can handcuff you. We'll talk about challenging in just a little bit. You're You're going to want to be 30 to 40 feet behind that vehicle, and you and your other patrol vehicle are going to want to be about 10 feet apart from each other. You never want to be too close in case anything happens and you guys have to engage with this person that you're pulling over in the high-risk traffic stop. We talked about the different vehicle positioning. We talked about ideal locations. Now we're going to talk about some things to look out for as you are approaching the vehicle and you are getting this person's information. First thing, you're going to look at their seatbelt. Are they wearing their seatbelt? Are they not wearing their seatbelt? Are the passengers wearing their seatbelt? Are the passengers not wearing their seatbelt? Do they have kids? Are they in a car seat? Are they buckled up at least? Seatbelts. Next thing you're going to want to look for is classified materials. If you're on base, classified materials, typically people transporting them have a courier letter that basically says, hey, I'm this commander from this base and I authorize so-and-so to transport this classified material to this location. That's what classified material is. Illegal paraphernalia that you're looking for: drugs, weapons, marijuana, anything that they should not have. Marijuana is legal in a bunch of states in the United States. It's legal here in Colorado. In the state of Colorado, marijuana is legal. However, it is not legal on federal installations. People cannot bring marijuana onto a federal installation. You're going to want to look out for those. The last thing is any alcohol. If there's any alcohol in the vehicle, that's automatically going to be suspicion for a DUI, driving under the influence. If you notice any suspicious behavior, you're approaching this person and they're sitting in their car and they're fiddling, they're looking around and they're fidgeting and they're moving around, that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't feel safe with that at all. So that's some things that you can watch out for. If you get in a situation where you're approaching a vehicle and you see any of these things, just keep a mental note of that, so that way when you are deciding what to do for your enforcement actions, you can think back to all of these things and help guide you. Next thing we're going to talk about is escalation and de-escalation. Anytime that you turn on your lights, you turn on your sirens behind a vehicle, people's hearts automatically start racing. People are wondering, why am I getting pulled over? What is going on? The tension is already rising. With escalation and de-escalation, the attitudes, behaviors, and actions of the person driving the vehicle will basically dictate the officer's reactions. If that person is being super compliant and they're happy, they're easy with you, they are compliant, it's going to be a good traffic stop. You're going to feel good as an officer, it's going to be easy, and the situation de-escalates itself naturally. If you're in a situation and the driver is being non-compliant, they are not giving you the information that you need, they're being so hostile with you, they are cussing at you, whatever the case may be, if it's a non-compliant person, it's going to turn into a situation that needs to be escalated. You need to match the violator's attitudes in a sense. You have to match, so you're not going to get an attitude with them. You're not going to be like, you need to hand me your ID because I said so. You're not going to do that. You're going to escalate the situation to get them to be compliant with you. Non-compliant subjects lead to escalation of situations, which lead to high-risk traffic stops. Just a little recap before we get going on to a little bit more of the sauce and meatballs, if you want to say. We talked about the purpose, so why traffic stops get conducted in the first place, why we pull people over. We talked about some officer safety considerations. Safety is the number one thing to remember during all traffic stops. We talked about different vehicle positions that you can be in when you pull people over. We talked about some things to look out for as you are approaching a vehicle And then we talked about escalation and de-escalation of the traffic stop. Next thing we're going to talk about is the initiation of the traffic stop. First things first, always call in a code 5 to BDOC. Code 5 is just initiation of a traffic stop. You're always going to want to call it in so BDOC knows where you are, if you need backup, and are you okay, and the reason for the stop. The second thing you're going to do is pass all the information to BDOC. You're going to pass where you are, if you need backup. Once you get that person stopped, you're going to pass the vehicle information to them. So you're going to pass the license plate number, license plate state, the make, model, color of the vehicle so that they can run it in NCIC, the National Crime Information Center. They're going to run it in NCIC and basically tell you if the vehicle comes back clear and current. So if it's wanted for warrants at all, or if it's good to go. So you're going to wait for the code 4 results. Once they come back, the BDOC controller tells you code 4 is clear and current. That means that you can proceed with your approach. You can approach the vehicle, get the information from the vehicle. Codes 1 through 3. Codes 1 through 3 are how you respond to a situation with your lights and sirens. So code 1, no lights, no sirens, just a chill. You're approaching the vehicle as a normal response. No lights, no sirens. Typically, this is the one that we always use, code 2, just lights. Most people don't need the sirens unless they're really not paying attention and they can't hear you because they're blasting their music. So code 2 is just lights. Code 3 is a little bit more escalated. It's lights and sirens. I'm sorry that I don't have music here. I couldn't get anything to play in the background for whatever reason. So code 3 is lights and sirens. Codes 4 and 5. Code 4 is a check for wants and warrants. You don't have to call a code 4 into BDOC. BDOC automatically does this whenever you send them the information about the vehicle. As soon as you get the ID from the person, BDOC is going to run that person in NCIC to see if the individual is wanted for wants and warrants. Code 5 is the initiation of a traffic stop. Anytime that you get in a traffic stop, you just get over your radio and say, BDOC, Police 1, Code 5. And then BDOC will ask you for the next information that you need. As I said earlier, there's 2 types of traffic stops. There's a routine traffic stop and there is a high-risk traffic stop. Routine traffic stops are for normal traffic stops, people running stop signs, people running red lights, any of those type of situations that we talked about at the very beginning of this presentation. High-risk traffic stops are for people that are known felons, people that come through the gate, that run the gate. They're hostile with the entry controller and they run the gate. That's going to be initiation of a high-risk traffic stop. If you have someone who's fleeing from you, it starts off as a normal routine traffic stop and you ask them for their information and they speed off. That's going to initiate a high-risk traffic stop. Routine traffic stops, what you're going to do, call the code into BDOC. So code 5 into BDOC. You're going to wait for the code 4 results. Wait for the wants and warrants to come back. Then, once they say they come back clear and current, you're going to proceed with your approach. So you're going to approach the vehicle, ask for all of their information, driver's license, military ID, proof of insurance, and registration. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to decide which type of enforcement actions that you want to go through with. And we'll talk about the enforcement actions in just a little bit. With a high-risk traffic stop, you're going to call the code 5 into BDOC, just as you would a routine traffic stop. You're then going to wait for backup to arrive. You never want to approach a high-risk traffic stop on your own. That person could have guns in the car, they're already irritated, they could blow your head off, and we do not want that. As I said 802 times, safety is the number one thing that we want to consider when we're doing traffic stops. Safety. Next thing you're going to do is initiate a challenge of that vehicle. So you have that person, and you and your backup are here. You have that person in the vehicle. They need to get out of the vehicle so that you can cuff them. So you're going to initiate a challenge of that vehicle, of that person, the people in the vehicle. Basically, it sounds a little bit like individual in the car, throw your keys outside your window, exit the vehicle, hands up in the air, hands behind your back, walk back towards me. They get cuffed, they get searched, and then the vehicle gets searched after a ghost challenge was conducted. Basically, what a ghost challenge is challenging the vehicle for anyone else that could be inside the vehicle. We don't know if there is anyone else in the vehicle or if there is not anyone else inside the vehicle, but a ghost challenge is going to basically challenge anyone that's trying to hide in the vehicle while we go up and search them. Example of a high-risk traffic stop with a military working dog. If it will play.
Forces Squadron, military working dog section. Today, anyway, can I demonstrate?
Basically, this is just a demonstration of a high-risk traffic stop with a canine military working dog. Here, the defender is challenging the person outside of the vehicle. This is a military working dog right here. The person is being non-compliant to the officer's challenges and their commands. They're coming at the officers, so then the officer decides to release her dog. She's going to retrieve her dog. The officer that was giving commands to the person is then going to handcuff the suspect whenever they can. And that's basically how a high-risk traffic stop is done if there is a canine. Challenging can be found in AFMAN 31-201, Volume 3. Think about it. Question for you guys. Can a routine traffic stop turn into a high-risk traffic stop? I said this kind of a little bit earlier. It can. It absolutely can turn from a routine traffic stop to a high-risk traffic stop in just an instant. Someone can get easily ticked off about a situation, about being pulled over, about you asking for their information, about getting a ticket, and that could lead to a high-risk traffic stop if they decide to leave or get hostile with you. Different types of enforcement actions. So I've been pulled over 2 times now. The first time I got pulled over, I had a tail light out, and the officer basically just gave me a verbal warning saying, hey, get it fixed, basically. The second time, I got an actual citation. I was speeding, I got caught speeding, got pulled over, got a citation for like $240. Never again will I speed like how I did that day. So there's 4 different types of enforcement actions that are all up to the officer's discretion. There's a verbal warning, written warning, a citation, and apprehension. Verbal warning, basically just a slap on the wrist, a hey, get it fixed. There's no paperwork involved. However, a code 5 is still initiated. A written warning, paperwork is filled out. There is still a code 5 that is initiated through BDOC. A citation. Citation is actual paperwork from the officer to the person who is getting a citation, and that could be for money or not for money. We have 2 different forms. There's a DD form 1408, the Armed Forces traffic ticket, and then there is a CVB form 1805. What's the main difference between the 2 different types of citations? Money, honey. Money is the #1 difference between the 2 different types of citations. With a 1408, you don't pay any money. It just goes towards points off of your base driving privileges. With an 1805, you get charged money. People don't want to pay money for citations, so they change their behaviors. They don't speed on base, they signal, and they basically fix their actions. This is what a 1408 looks like. It's kind of hard to see. I have my little booklet here, 1408s. It has 3 different copies inside: white copy, yellow copy, and pink copy, which goes to the violator. Here we have our 1805. This is the one that gets charged money if you receive one of these. Last thing is apprehension. We cannot apprehend civilians. Under Title 18, Section 1382 of the U.S. Code, we can only detain civilians. So if a civilian offender gets pulled over on base, we cannot apprehend them. So we cannot take them to jail. We basically just call civilian law enforcement to come and get them. If it's a military member, absolutely getting apprehended if the situation calls for that. We talked about a bunch today. We talked about a lot of different things involving traffic stops. Does anybody have any type of questions? Any questions at all? To wrap up today's discussion, we talked about describing how to perform traffic stops while you're on a military installation, how defenders do traffic stops. We talked about the purpose, so why traffic stops happen, why people get pulled over, some different reasons why people get pulled over. We talked about officer safety considerations. Safety is the number one thing to remember while we are on patrol conducting traffic stops. Safety of ourselves, safety of the people on base. We talked about initiating a traffic stop. What are some things that we need to look out for as we approach a vehicle? What are the type of codes that we run, code 4 and code 5? We talked about the different types of traffic stops, routine traffic stops versus high-risk traffic stops. We also talked about the different enforcement actions that an officer can take. We said that the enforcement actions, it's basically up to the officer's discretion. If they want to just give a written warning, they can give a written warning. If they feel like the situation is necessary for a citation, they can give a citation. It's really up to the officer's discretion. That is all I have for you guys today. If nobody else has any questions, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time. Bye.